Ladies and gentlemen, Pamela Stephenson. They said you were going to wear a hat. What happened?
They said, Jackie Collins is wearing black. Do you think you could wear something colourful?
And you did.
I did.
That's super. Now, the papers have been full of the story of your fella, Billy Connelly, in the car crash. How is the boy?
He's going to be fine. He's still getting better. He's going to be 100%, which is great. Actually, he sent a message to the crew. I saw him very shortly after the accident, and he was pretty battered and bruised and lots of injuries. He was doing a movie down in Devon, and it was his turn to buy dinner. And he sent a message to Michael Caine and all the people down there to say that there are no lengths to which a Scotsman won't go to avoid buying dinner.
That's a holy touch for you.
Actually, I thought the miracle was that he managed to construct a sentence with 3 double negatives immediately after a near-fatal car.
That's pretty good. How did you hear about it, Pamela?
Well, it's one of those, it's the phone call that you always dread, isn't it? You know, the person you love most in the world is on their way down the motorway and somebody rings you at 6 in the morning and it's a strange voice on your private line, so you already know something's wrong. And they said, Pamela Stephenson. I said, yes, and I knew immediately, and they said, Billy Connelly has been involved in a motor accident, full stop. He is okay. But by the time you get to okay, you've had him dead and buried, so I'd like to institute a course in humane sentence construction for police trainees. Because if they'd said, Billy Connelly has survived, or Billy Connelly, who is alive and well, has nevertheless been in a car accident, it would be easier to take.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, on to happier things. You and I have something in common at the moment, which is sleepless nights, I believe.
I didn't know your sexual prowess was quite so good. Speaking about our offspring.
Well, I hope that's what we were thinking about. Yes, we have little babies, don't we? Yes.
Babies. Oh, yes.
How old is yours now?
Oh, she's 6 months. Oh, nearly 6 months. I have become the most overprotective mum. I mean, it's just incredible. I'm so scared about germs. If I could issue face masks and gloves to everyone who comes anywhere near her. I mean, before I breastfeed her, I boil my nipples. Terrible noises. Does your baby make dreadful noises? You know, all those sort of pooing noises and
I think not as dreadful as the noises you make when you boil your nipples out. Yes.
You know, they never tell you these things when you read all the books about them, and it's supposed to be sort of really spiritual experience having a baby, and you're supposed to gaze into its eyes when you're feeding it. You can't believe that a thing that's that big makes a noise like that.
Yes. Oh. It's wonderful when the baby's born, and I was there. I know you were there when yours was born. And you wait to see what sex is going to be. And it was very obvious at first that it was going to be a little boy, because little girls, the bottoms go all the way round, don't they? You know at once. So, has motherhood actually changed you?
Oh, I've got huge knockers. No, my disease grew so much. I couldn't, and I thought, Dolly Parton, watch out, move over. Of course, fortunately, they didn't quite get that big. I mean, I say fortunately because apparently her kids have got stretch marks on their lips. I love her. She's so gorgeous.
Yes.
Do you think we should get them together, Daniel and Daisy?
Daniel and Daisy,
Daniel
it's
and
super.
Daisy. We were going to call our baby Dan if it had been a boy.
Ah.
But, of course, she fancies Prince William, really.
Well, he fancies Joan Collins, so that's the end of that.
There you go.
Well, it's a nice thought all the same, bear it in mind.
Actually, I just remembered something. There's a wonderful Australian expression for buzzies, which is sucky buttons. Nipples. And I was just going to ask you, because you know how when you're a kid, you call your private bits wonderful names. What did you call your...
I called it Brian most of the time.
Seriously, what did you call it?
Oh, it was Dickie, of course, Dickie. Dickie.
Because you said bottoms that go all the way around. I used to call mine front botty, which I thought was really sweet.
That's lovely. When you came to this country, did you find that having an Australian accent was in any way a drawback as a performer?
Yes, well, it was, but I didn't realise it was, because, you know, I thought that everyone would believe me when I said, well, I can do any accent, because I did have a good ear. I mean, it was so good. I was the German Avon lady for ages. I was, you know, on German television. I don't speak any German, but I was on German television saying, letztes Mal sagten Sie mir, ich sollte meine Augen mehr betonen, wissen Sie noch? Which is something to do with eyeshadow, but I don't know what it is.
That was real German.
Anyway, I kept walking into the BBC trying to get a job, and I'd walk in there sort of all lip gloss and slingbacks and say, "G'day, I'm Pam from Australia, how about a job?" And they look at me very concerned. I mean, they were always called Jeremy or Julian, saying, "No, I don't think so, really." And so I decided that I'd have to be a sort of a girl from Surrey, and so I learnt to do the accent of a girl from Surrey, perhaps, with
Which is what?
With Daddy's a doctor, and I'd wear a little print dress and have a little not too much makeup and soft hair, and I'd go there and I'd name drop and I'd say, "Harold and Antonia came to see my Cordelia at Stoke-on-Trent," and sweetest note afterwards, and I'd get a job, and then I realised that if you go for a job at the RSC or something, you have to be a bit more kind of down market, you know,
yes.
glare at people and have dirty hair and Balinese trousers and hand out Workers' Party leaflets and hit the director for a quid on the way out. Funnily enough, though, when I finally did get a break, which is in Not the 9 O'Clock News, I got it because I was at a party telling a story in an Australian accent. I was telling an Australian broadcasting story. In Australia, I used to live on the top of a mountain on a farm during those days when everyone grew their own things, you know, this hippie. And I was there, and at 6 o'clock at night, they have what they call the snake news. And it's called the snake news because nothing ever happens around there, so they do actually report instances of snake bite. And I was listening one night, and this man was saying, "Today, vandals broke into the South Bega Women's Auxiliary club rooms and ate the cakes which had been prepared for the local dinner." And the phone started ringing in the background. And he struggled on. He says, "They spilt tomato sauce on the floor and the carpet which had been donated." Finally answers us, "Hello? No, look, I can't talk now. I'm reading the news."
I believe that as well.
It's true.
Now, you've been to America. Now, you went to Hollywood. Did you like what you saw?
I love it. I love it. I'm very glad I live in Britain every time I go to Hollywood, but I love it. It's a city of extremes. La, as we stars call it. No. It's a city of extremes. I do everything. I go to the mud wrestling. And last time I was there, I was staying in a hotel where they were having a press conference about what to do when your shrink goes on holiday.
But, I mean, you talk about it being a place of extremes. You must have been able to shock them. Did you try?
Well, I think that they found me a bit unusual. I mean, mainly because the way that I look, partly. If anybody looks even vaguely punk, as they see everything new wave, everything is punk. And I remember I went to a huge Hollywood party, and I think that they kept staring at me because I was wearing black and bright orange and lime green. And I swear there wasn't one other person there who wasn't wearing white and lilac. Everybody else was. I got a Zen taxi driver one day. Well, I said to him, "How far is it to Laurel Canyon?" He said, "Like, how deep is the ocean?"
Yes, that's a big fare, I should think, that one. Yeah. Well, do you ever think that you've gone too far?
I suppose from time to time. I came pretty unstuck last year, actually, and I was doing an award ceremony. And I was presenting an award with a man called Chuck Morris, who's a sort of white Bruce Lee. And it was, you know, these things can be really boring, can't they? Because you get this terrible dialogue that's written for you. "Well, Pamela, wonder who's going to win tonight." "Yes, Chuck, I can't wait to hear the outcome." Anyway, I was going on, and I decided that we'd do this little routine. I was going to come on in a karate suit and throw him kung fu style, and then he was going to say, "No woman treats me like that," and pull my karate suit off to reveal my evening dress. However, we rehearsed it about 3 times, and it started getting terribly stale, so I decided that the best thing to do was to remove the dress just before I went on.
Yeah.
Which was a terrible mistake, because when he pulled off my karate suit, he got such a shock. and he just got such a shock, he just left me there, centre stage, and beetled off. And I was standing, and he hadn't pulled the suit off completely, so it was wrapped around my legs. And I had to kind of do a combination of bunny hop and a crawl off stage very slowly, with millions of people watching. Oh, God, it was so bad.
I can't imagine you being embarrassed. Do you ever shock Billy Connelly?
Oh, yeah, I can, surprisingly
Really?
enough. It is surprising, considering what he does, but he's sort of replaced my mother, really, you know. I mean...
Interesting relationship you must have.
He has, because, I mean, it's a sweet sound to my ear that when he says to me, "Pamela," you know, it's lovely. I know it sounds weird. Would you like... I don't think I'll tell you the things that would shock him, because you want to have a show next week, don't you?
Well, that's a very fascinating and tantalising way to leave it at the moment, but there we will just for a second. For the moment, Pamela Stephenson, thank you very much.